Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of the Workforce Workshop. In today's edition, we will be talking about the shared managed services. Let's start. A hybrid solution for the management of contingent workforces. What kind of services does your company need? Many factors may play a role in this. Various factors, including your business size and the employee's skills, skill gaps you are trying to close, and cost constraints are taken into account as well. When it comes to information technology IT services types, a company typically has two options: shared IT services and managed IT services. Let's discuss both in detail. So, what are shared services? A shared service is usually referred to as a business model in which most use resources shared across departments in the organization. Typically, this is done by identifying and noting the most used and critical services. Resources and funds are then assigned to these services, and they are divided into requirements by each department. In essence, shared services lead to the establishment of internal service providers. This enables the company to share its resources. Besides, meeting KPIs costs need to be controlled, and these internal services providers must guarantee quality. Now, it's turn to discuss the benefits of a shared service model. The following are some of the benefits of shared services models. Cost back office operations become centralized when multiple divisions within the same organization utilize them and eliminate redundant procedures. Developing cultures, identifying and developing people with a skill set to optimize the model beyond the back office. Information services, analyzing data and delivering accurate and actionable information. Adaptability. The shared services model is scalable for expansion at a relatively low cost, both geographically and in service scope. Operational units. Operational units will be freed to focus on operation and external customers. This will be possible due to reliance on shared services. The next question we have: what is managed services model? In terms of managed services, external teams or service providers are contracted to help manage particular business process or function. Following the acquisitions, the third-party providers maintain the operations and anticipates the company's needs in that area. Many startups use managed services to acquire IT support, general IT management, or specific sub-processes such as cybersecurity. Companies with limited expertise, assets, or capabilities can acquire them via services delivery model without investing in their development. The company instead uses a third-party service provider to provide them with a service. So, shared versus managed services, which is right for you? You may choose managed or shared services depending on which industry you work in, what kind of work you need, and the size of your organization and what scale you are planning to expand, etc. Listed below are few considerations your company should consider when selecting shared services and managed services as well. To start with, what is the maturity level of your internal processes? MSP may be a solution if your documentation and standardization processes aren't in order. A managed services provider can ensure that the essential tracking and reporting processes are in place to derive the standardization of low maturity organizations. Next, what is the complexity of your process interactions? The more basic functions can be outsourced, while the more complex and unique ones should be kept in-house. You may want to consider using a hybrid model where managed service expert teamwork along with your internal staff if your staff is not sufficiently skilled to customize your service delivery or application. Third, what is the number of the people you need? Traditionally, a company reaches an essential growth phase when it has 100 full-time employees usually. Choosing your service provider will depend on the project's complexity and the number of human resources needed. Fourth, what is the geographic scope of your work? There is often no clear documentation and process standardization at multiple sites where companies perform the same functions. Unknowingly or knowingly, your company loses money through these arrangements. Remotely delivered managed services also come with backup provisions. In addition to these, compliance with legal requirements may make outsourcing your IT a better option. Lastly, how would you describe your current and future requirements? Scaling a business requires investing heavily in technology and infrastructure. By using shared services, smaller companies can save money. It can be easier to scale multinational operations through an MNC service provider who can maintain and upgrade applications and infrastructure. Do you know that generally shared services in IT and outsourcing, in fact, hybrid models are commonly used by most companies? Example, companies outsource application development to an external company while internal divisions oversee the project to provide the resources and input needed to continue the work. How do you choose a suitable business model? You should take the pros and cons of each business model into account when you compare shared versus managed services. Understanding how each service type impacts your business ultimately determines the right decision for your business. Consider your company size first. A managed service may be something you should consider if you are in charge of a small business. You can access to critical technological tools and stay within your budget with managed services. A managed services team can also handle all your company's technical needs, freeing up your time for other pressing tasks that need to be accomplished in other parts of your company. It's also essential to consider the expertise of your team. A third-party provider can help you if you are struggling to meet your client's needs due to the gap in skills and experience within your team. For example, if you are confident in your team's ability to cater to customers' needs, you can choose shared services instead. Response time is another critical factor to consider when deciding whether to choose shared services or managed services. If you rely on your internal staff to do different tasks, you may have to settle for slower response time. Unless you outsource to an MSP, you probably won't get the same efficiency from assigning work to a large group of people. When it comes down to choosing managed services, will increase the productivity of your entire workforce. In contrast, hiring resources or purchasing technology that is not the best fit for your company, outsourcing an MSP is more cost-effective in this case. Managed service providers provide accountability and relieve the workload of staff of in-house technicians. Consider the following factors when selecting an MSP. Review the service level agreement, SLAs, of the MSP with a well-trained, experienced team. A managed service provider needs to offer adequate support. Look at case studies and testimonials from satisfied customers that may be helpful. To reap the benefits of proactive services, it is crucial to add a trustworthy MSP. Meet the support team. Be sure customer service managers and other MSPs are experienced, friendly, and a fit for your organization. IT outsourcing removes the need to invest in the infrastructure and train people from different departments when you may not be a good fit. Achieving this requires meticulous planning, delegation, and hiring, which in practice has proven far more complicated than in theory. Here's a guide to avoiding shared service implementation mistakes. First, not measuring costs and the service level before moving to a shared service model. The benefits of shared services are widely known, ranging from cutting costs, increasing efficiency, to driving wholesale business transformation. But all too often, all those gains are overshadowed by an inability to assess the effectiveness of SSO, which is caused by a failure to measure existing service levels and costs before introducing shared services. In a rush to implement what many at the senior level may perceive as a magical cure-all, those initial metrics are ignored or put off. Lamentation ensures when would otherwise have been impressive results appear less impressive simply because there is a little to compare them to. Before implementing shared services, it's essential to gather information on the costs and quality of service so that reasonable goals can be established and an objective base can be used to negotiate. There's no doubt that clients may wish to obtain better and less expensive services when compared to what they currently have, but they should also be aware of the starting points and the time it will take until they achieve the ideal performance level. Second, not naming a full-time executive fast enough. Shared services centers need to have strong, dedicated teams, and they need to be led and coordinated by people who can direct their efforts and achieve the best results. The general manager performs these functions, although it is uncommon how late the official appointment occurs before the general manager. Non-specialist managers are called on what is urgent sometimes. General managers should be appointed early since their responsibilities do not only begin when the system goes live. Choosing an experienced leader is preferable to juggling multiple responsibilities without any background in the task at hand. Third, uncertainty about employee resources in the project plan. It is not realistic to expect that every employee of a shared services organization will be a new hire. During the early stages of the project, existing employees will be responsible for much of the groundwork. A detailed project plan outlines exactly what each team member is expected to do, regardless of how temporary their participation may be, which may be tedious and annoying sometimes. Still, it will save you from headache later on. It will make your implementation more smooth and your success sweeter if you know who's supposed to do what, when, and how. Regarding your employee resources, having a solid project plan with reasonable deadlines and completion dates is one of the keys to success. As we all know, most of the work will be done by middle management and those reporting to them, not by the VPs and the directors. Most employees of your company are already employed. Employees will have their current responsibilities taken away, requiring an extra training period, or will extra work be added to their current responsibilities. In order for the project to be completed on time, these are the people who put in the extra time. A project plan that takes employee resources into account will save overworked employees stress and the senior management's frustration where the implementation is pushed back. Fourth, getting tangled up in standardizing technology and processes before implementation. Applying the metaphor to shared services makes it crucial not to move wrinkled mess such as a variety of different and possibly incompatible platforms and processes into a new SSO. While standardizing all those platforms and procedures would be ideal, it is sometimes best to compromise and move just a few different systems over rather than overhaul of the entire SSO as soon as it gets up and running. It may be frightening to consider anything less than a complete standardization before implementation, but it is worth delaying a potentially life-changing upgrade to shared services. At the same time, the tech team agonizes over yet another incompatibility. Fifth, monitoring or managing risks insufficiently. The fact that so many firms fall foul of this one is the more shocking. Any project of this scope, especially one that involves offshoring or building new infrastructure, comes with inherent risks. It is critical to be aware of those risks and have contingency plan in place. The answer to this may be so obvious, so why many companies make the same mistake when it comes to hiring the right service providers? Organizations can use many value levers to increase saving and improve effectiveness in a shared service organization. In most cases, companies fail to realize the risk associated with these decisions are generally unchecked. This can lead to costly mistakes and surprises. An organization's structure can help determine which key areas to monitor with the risk monitoring dashboard. Monitors offshore delivery markets, currency, politics, labor pool, etc. Contractors, providers of outsourced services and infrastructure, for example, can provide added value for shared services organizations. 6. Focusing insufficiently on the transition in an ideal world. Once a board approved the shared service organization, it would come into existence at the click of the CFO's finger and operate at the total capacity from the start. It's unfortunate that this is not an ideal world, and even the leanest, sleekest, and most effective SSOs are vulnerable to a transition period. When the transition period is not focused on what it entails and requires, it can give rise and grave issues that can persist long after the transition itself. Transitioning to shared services is an important step. When vendors are involved, most organizations spend most of their time and energy on strategy, design, and deal execution, but not devote enough resources to transition activities. These can be costly if mistakes are made during the transition phase. Poor transitions, for example, can result in delays and financial losses. Additionally, it can potentially result in stakeholders' dissatisfaction, hindering the adoption of shared services across the organization. The next important thing is the price model of shared services. While some shared services organizations, SSO, do not charge, others use simple allocation methodology. Other organizations rely on elaborated activities based on costing models. Charging customers is one way to encourage them to do the right thing. For the enterprise and fund process improvement, a specific pricing mechanism can ensure that customers are invested in forecasting and managing their demand for the services and providing the quality input necessary for shared services to function. They prevent customers from overusing or underusing services. In some cases, pricing models accurately reflect the cost of service and allow comparisons with external pricing. Nevertheless, other models can also trigger resistance. I'll do myself behavior on the part of customers, resulting in reduced customer commitment to working with shared services. First, cost-centered model. This is commonly used when shared services are part of a centralized support structure without a dedicated budget. This is the most basic model. The cost, therefore, is usually borne by the company as a whole rather than by the individual business units. Second, fixed allocation model. Implementation of this model is usually very straightforward. Each business unit is charged a flat rate or a percentage of cost based on the predetermined metric, for example, a number of full-time employees using the shared service. The price is fixed regardless of the value or type of service. Third, volume-dependent variable model. Each business unit's pricing is based on the number of service consumed and their complexity. Paying more than usual goes to customers who require more assistance or whose practice are more complex than expected. Fourth, model based on market focuses. A similar service is priced in this model based on market rates determined by external competition. Fifth, model of cost plus. A profit margin is added to previously discussed market model. As a result, shared service organizations are profit centers reinvesting revenue to improve technology, infrastructure, or service. How will shared managed services benefit you? It is essential to have an intuitive VMS when dealing with contingent workforce programs. It also requires strategic thinking and efficient operations. Managing contingent workers is a full-time job. First, a strategic partner. You need a recruitment company with years of diverse experience accumulated by their program managers. Hybrid management can be the ideal complement when it comes to designing and managing contingent workforce programs that will support your talent strategy. Second, enhance operational flexibility. You can create a hybrid model by partnering with a reliable service provider in order to focus on strategic initiative and outsource operational teams. By doing so, you can identify and control key decision factors. Offloading operations, keep your program's strategic components in mind. Third, utilize SMS services for maximum efficiency. Your team can focus on strategy by working with the best teams to manage contingent workforces. SMS partners can handle program elements including invoices and payments, training and onboarding of vendors, audits of vendors, performing compliance audits, rationalizing of rate. Fourth on the list is ensure true vendor neutrality. When you have reliable program managers working for you, you can rely on them to support your selection process without affiliation with staffing companies. Recruit talent from the largest pool at the best price. Analyze vendors objectively. Improve your processes with data. Lastly, adopt best practices whenever you need assistance. You can always count on your experienced program managers. With a breadth of experience that spans the industry, your program managers can advise you on how to budgeting and controlling costs, risk management, enhancing vendor and candidate quality, and the workflow efficiency as well. Conclusion: with the right managed services, your business can thrive. The most capable shared service providers will customize their services to meet your specific needs so you can focus on completing your task successfully, no matter what your goals are or what your budget looks like. Once you've decided which service best meets your needs, you can be assured that your technology needs are in the right hands with connecting with our highly responsive support team. I hope this episode was knowledgeable for you. I will see you in the next one, where we will talk about the best practices for remote training at your organization. Links to everything will be in the description below. If you like our content, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. It will notify you about the new content that we will share with you every week. A great content for our professional audience. Let me know if there's something you would like us to discuss in a future episode. Please click the links in the show notes and you can address your questions directly to me.